Hi, this is Mrs. Roman, and I'm going to help parents try to make sense of our writing rubric that we use to score your children's writing. I know that when I first became a teacher, it was a little hard for me to understand this, so I'm going to try to put it in plain English. Now that I've been teaching for a while and understand it better, I'll try to explain it to you in a way that's pretty easy to understand. There's four areas that we score when we look at a kid's writing: content and ideas, organization, style and voice, and conventions. So I'll just take a few minutes and go through each one of those. The first area we look at is content and ideas. This is where we look to see if the kid is writing on topic, if the child is writing an actual story and not just a list. A lot of children will write, first I went to school, then I played at recess, after that I went home, and then I went to bed. Not really a story. We want the kids to more pick one thing that they did or one idea and write all about that one idea. So I tell kids, pick your favorite part of the day and write about that. Just try to make it a little bit more focused. Next, we look at organization. Really, we want to see if the writing has a clear beginning, middle, and end. The middle is the biggest part of the writing. It has all of the details, but we want to make sure that the children understand that they still have to introduce the writing in the beginning. They have to catch the reader's attention, and that they have to have some kind of a closure at the end so that the reader knows that this story or this piece is done. One way we help kids to organize the middle of their writing is by using transition words. So words like first and next and then. Now that's not the same as I talked about earlier. First I went to school, next I played at recess. We tell them, focus in on one idea. So if it was about getting a new puppy, so what happened first when you got the puppy, and what happened next when you took the puppy home, and then did the puppy get into trouble? So it's all more about one idea rather than a list. We want the writing to show a sequence. We don't want it to be all jumbled. And by the end of second grade, we want the kids to start using a paragraph structure. This really helps. If they're using transition words, that's kind of a starting point for us to teach them paragraphs. Next, we look at style and voice. This is really where the kid's personality comes through, and it's so fun to read kids writing when they have good style and voice. You can tell that this child is writing for an audience. They're trying new and interesting words, words that they may not know how to spell, but they're going to try their best and stretch it out. So maybe a child wants to write the word spectacular. We went to Cedar Point and it was spectacular. They're not sure how to write spectacular. So instead of just writing fun because they know how to spell fun, we want them to really stretch themselves and try to write the word that they're really thinking instead of just the safe word. We want the sentences to flow nicely, which means that there's a mixture of short sentences and long sentences. We don't want the writing to be choppy, all short, and we also don't want it to go on and on and on with sentences that are too long. So we want a good mixture of those. And you can kind of tell when a child reads their writing out loud, if it flows nicely, and they probably have good fluency. And we want the kids to start using punctuation to create emotion. So this is different than capitals and periods. This is where they might use dot, 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 which we call an ellipsis, and we would use that for suspense. A child might also bold out a word that they want the reader to read more strongly, or make it all capital letters because they want that word to really stand out. So little subtleties that they're just starting to introduce into their writing, but that really do show more of a voice. And the last thing we look for is conventions. So conventions in, in a sentence are, it makes the writing easy to read. So the things that kids can do to make sure that their writing is easy to read, using capitals and punctuation, of course the neatness and the spacing. It needs to be easy to read. And the children might start using prefixes and suffixes and contractions to show that they know how words work. So I hope that helps you as a parent. I know that it can be confusing at first, but the more that we teach kids, the better that they get at this. And if they're hearing the same language at home, it's just going to strengthen their ability to write, and they'll become writers for lifelong.